story for the Roswell part began in the wee hours in the morning of July 1947, when I was awakened by my dad, who was returning from an assignment to collect debris of unknown origin from a ranch out of Roswell. This is the Foster Ranch, and this is the debris that Mac Brazel had run across. Apparently, the rancher, by the name of Mac Brazel, notified the local sheriff of Chaves County of the downing of some sort of aircraft on his land. He was not quite sure what the nature of this was. He'd seen weather balloons, go down there before, so he was not sure it was that either, but it was something very different. The sheriff in Chaves County contacted Colonel Blanchard, who was the commander of the Air Force Base in Roswell. Now, Colonel Blanchard knew my dad was the intelligence officer, so he dispatched my dad and a CIC agent, Sheridan Cavett, to investigate what this was, whether it was one of our planes or just whatever, just an unknown crash site. So it was their job to go ahead and ascertain what was out there and bring representative portions of this back to the base so they could study it to make a final determination of this. As it turns out, our house happened to be on the way to the base, and this is in the wee hours of the morning. So my dad, knowing that he had seen something very special, wanted my mother and myself to look at this also, because as he said, you'll never see this again. So what he did, he stopped off at the house, awakened my mother and myself, and again, the wee hours in the morning. It's summertime. I've been playing all day with the bicycles and things like that. I was 11 years old at the time, however. And he brought us into the kitchen, and I saw a smattering of this strange debris on the kitchen floor that he had pre-positioned. He said, look at this. I think this is what you call a flying saucer or remains thereof. I was not quite sure what a flying saucer was at that time, because I was more interested in bicycling and using my .22 rifle for practice. But at any rate, the first thing he wanted us to do, or me particularly, was to check the debris out, make sure there was no electronic components there, looking for vacuum tubes, resistors, condensers, and things like that. But there wasn't any. And he already knew that, but he wanted me to satisfy my own curiosity as is. The debris itself consisted of three components, three types. There was a foil, a very tough metallic foil of some nature that I can't really describe. I have to add that I did not see the bending and unbending of it, but my dad witnessed it. He said it would, if you fold it over, it would unfold and assume its original form. In addition, there was black plastic debris, like a broken phonograph record. But the strangest thing I saw was, as being passed around right now, was this is a replica of one of the I-beams, or the beams I saw in the wreckage. In that, you'll note there's some symbols written along the inside surface of this, and they're a purplish violet hue, semi-reflective of light. But this is basically what this was.
Is this a replica? Or
yes, sir, this is a replica. If it was original, I wouldn't have it.
You never know. That's why we're asking.
That's right. So, but anyway, my dad drove the debris into the base that night. I think it was that night, or maybe early next morning, where he was assigned by Colonel Blanchard to fly the material to General Ramey's office in Fort Worth. This was flown in the belly of a B-29 under armed guard. So my dad I saw a picture of my dad taken in General Ramey's office, holding what was obviously a radar target. They had already switched the debris. And the look on his face is quite telling. He says, you got to be kidding me. This is not what I saw. And this is not what I saw either. But at any rate, that's where the cover-up began, at General Ramey's office. So when my dad got home, he sat my mother and myself down and said in no uncertain terms, you will never talk about this. This is a non-event. And yes, sir, I was an Army brat, so I was following orders. So I never discussed this with my friends or anybody else until after Stan Friedman interviewed my dad in 1978.